politics over national security. Never undermine your country when it is facing a crisis, a war-like situation. And if you're planning to ask questions, make sure they further the national interest. The Congress party forgot all these rules, all these axioms, and today is looking decidedly poorer for it, in a stunning twist that lays bare the Congress party's staggering hypocrisy. A forgotten, almost buried relic from 1991 has returned to shatter its sanctimonious posturing. What am I talking about, viewers? I'm talking about this document. For days, the Congress has unleashed a barrage of accusations against Prime Minister Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, alleging they cowered under US pressure and betrayed the national interest by allegedly informing Pakistan ahead of India's decisive Operation Sindoor. Treachery, they cried. Betrayal, they screamed. Mallikarjun Kharge even went to the extent of saying that Modi was set to go to Kashmir on April 17th. Intelligence department told Prime Minister not to go. Why didn't government tell tourists to avoid Jammu and Kashmir? We should have saved 26 lives and avoided a small or chutput war. Rahul Gandhi says EM Jaishankar's silence on informing Pakistan isn't just telling, it is damning. So I'll ask again, how many Indian aircrafts did we lose because Pakistan knew this wasn't a lapse, it was a crime, and the nation deserves to know? This is what he was saying. He was accusing EM Jaishankar, who he now calls JJ. Viewers, a lot of people have speculated, what does JJ mean? Some people have said it means Jai Chand Jaishankar. Can you believe it, viewers? It's the leader of the opposition. A leader of the opposition speaks like this, viewers. Forgotten decorum, decency. And who's he talking about? A man who is out there, viewers, right now, trying to assuage international partners, trying to build a narrative to defend his own country, and you call him JJ. Viewers, it's expected of, high school students. You say these things in corridors, not of an almost 60-year-old man. Anyhow, viewers, who am I to stand in judgment? Pawan Khera says this video of S. Jaishankar is being used in Pakistan to ridicule us. This leaves behind a trail of unanswered questions. How many terrorists were allowed to escape because we gave time to Pakistan? Is that why Azhar Masood escaped? They're all referring to a clumsy phrase that was used by S. Jaishankar, no doubt, viewers, where he said that, look, before the operation, at the start of the operation, we informed Pakistan that we're going to knock out your terror infrastructure. What he meant to say it at the very beginning, we were only going to limit, and we told Pakistan, we are only going to limit to terror infrastructure. It's not going to be hitting at Pakistani state or the Pakistani military. So please allow us this much, because you yourself say that these terrorists are on our soil and they create problems. So we are just dealing with a problem that you also want dealt. But viewers, as Congress has been mounting this campaign against the government, history often does its strikes, and the truth has surfaced to expose the rot between their rhetoric. A 1991 agreement signed under a Congress-led government has now emerged, clearly stating that India would provide prior notification to Pakistan on troop movements near the border. Yes, the very Congress that now cloaks itself in faux patriotism had codified a policy of informing the enemy in advance, viewers. But then the Congress called this sellout diplomacy. It said we were just building confidence. These were CBMs. Today, when it's politically convenient, they forget the past and merrily accuse the BJP of treason. Let me just run you through what this agreement was about. And viewers, you see, the Congress has come out and said that in 1991, when the draft of this agreement was put together, we had withdrawn support from the Chandrasekhar government. But viewers, this was ratified in 1994 when the P.V. Narasimha Rao Congress government was in power. So it might have been written in 1991, it was ratified in 94. And what does it say? It says advance notification. Both nations agreed to provide prior notification to each other about significant military exercises, maneuvers and troop movements near the border. Now, if you're going to constantly tell Pakistan where your troops are, and they are wanting to, viewers, infiltrate terrorists, they know exactly where you are. They're going to be able to slip by you. And that's what's been happening. Then there was a notification mechanism. Notifications were to be exchanged through diplomatic channels within a specified time frame before the planned activities. So everyone got time. And the document is not the only thing backfiring for the Congress. Even Pakistan has fact-checked Congress party today, laughing off suggestions that Jaishankar had tipped them off of an impending attack. And other Pakistani leaders have talked about India's massive, they've used the word massive military action, which also disproves Congress' claim that Operation Sindoor was a chutput or inconsequential strike. Listen first, viewers, to DG ISPR, who says, and the reporter asks, this is an interview with the BBC, the reporter asks, India's opposition leader Rahul Gandhi claims India informed Pakistan before the strikes. Did that happen? Pointed question, viewers. This is the same question that Rahul Gandhi has been asking of, as he says, JJ or Jaishankar. Well, this is what the Pakistan DG ISPR says, and I quote, "This is part of the amusement in Indian media. Our intelligence is not dependent on what Indians tell us. We know when Indian missiles and drones take off, we did not need India informing us about strikes," unquote. This is the DG ISPR, viewers, of Pakistan. Congress has egg on its face. This is perhaps the biggest self-goal by the Congress party. And this revelation isn't just about a document. It's about trust, honor, and the unrelating double standards of a party that has long put its own survival above the nation's sovereignty. I want you to listen to Maryam Nawaz now, viewers. Maryam Nawaz, who is the daughter of Nawaz Sharif, has come out and said, boy, were we messed up by India. Huge strikes. They really, really put us to shame. Listen to this.
जो कुछ 9 मई को हुआ और जो कुछ उससे पहले इंडिया ने 6 और 7 मई की शाम को हमला करके किया, उसमें ज्यादा फर्क नहीं है, बल्कि शायद हमने ज्यादा, हमारी उस सियासी जमात ने ज्यादा नुकसान पहुंचाया पाकिस्तान को।
किसी ने ये नहीं पूछा कि GHQ से 5 किलोमीटर चकलाला एयरबेस तक ये ड्रोन कैसे पहुंचा, ये धमाका कैसे हुआ। अपने इदारों को हम क्यों डिस्कस ना करें कि हमारे इदारे क्या कर रहे हैं। हमारे जो यहाँ पे फोर्सेस है बलूचिस्तान में, जिनको हमने इतने इख्तियारात दिए हैं, जो मुझे भी तलाशी कर सकता है, मेरे घर में भी बगैर पूछे घुस सकता है, हम उससे क्यों नहीं पूछते कि भाई आप क्या कर रहे हो वहाँ पे।
Viewers, there you have it. They're shaking in their shoes in Pakistan. They have realized what they were hit with. This was not chutput. This was a missile that landed in the army headquarters, in the nerve center, viewers, of the Pakistan army, which calls the shots in Pakistan. And all these revelations, all these documents, what do they prove, viewers? It's about trust, honor, and the unrelenting double standards of a party that has long put its own survival above the nation's sovereignty. It did nothing when India was bled during 26/11 terror strike in Mumbai. It opened an office in Turkey in 2019 when that country was aligned with Pakistan and openly aiming at us by arming it and giving it diplomatic support on Kashmir, etc., etc. It signed a secretive MOU, I'm talking about the Congress, with the Chinese Communist Party that has vowed to dominate India. The people of India deserve to know who truly stands for Bharat and who merely pretends. Will we get answers tonight, viewers? Let's open this up. Let's, without ado, ask these questions. If the Congress is cavalier about accusing the BJP of treachery, will it care to explain why it signed a deal to notify Pakistan in advance about troop movements? And I want to put this question to Mr. Sanjay Jha tonight. We also have with us Sushant Sareen, who will tell us, and he will tell us, was this pact avoidable? And did Congress's inherent pacifism limit India? I'll come to that part. But let first Sanjay Jha answer the question I have asked. Today, the shoe is now on the Congress foot. Here is the document, sir. This is the agreement. You know what it says. I'm sure you've gone through it. You can't hide behind the dates because in 94 it was ratified, very much during Congress time. Yes, it was drafted in 1991 on the 6th of April, but registered by India on the 15th of December 1994. squarely bang in the middle of PV Narasimha Rao's tenure. What's your response, sir?
And just to add to that, completely approved by Mr. Vajpayee's government, and Mr. Modi's government had no objection to it till now. So complete the entire statement, Rahul. And in a fairness of a debate, because you got three people who I think if the public are seeing them often will be aware they are very sympathetic. One of them, of course, is the BJP spokesperson. I think they're sympathetic towards the BJP. So let's have a neutral debate. Give me equal amount of time and we will have your viewers highly enlightened by the end of it. You asked me a question at the very beginning. Who is really insulting India's integrity? I'll tell you who is. The Bharatiya Janata Party is. I'm going to quote to you just a small paragraph of a letter sent to the President of India, the Supreme Commander of the Indian Defence Forces, by Admiral Vishnu Bhagwat and several other very respected members of India's defence services. And I do hope, Rahul Shivshankar, you respect them as well, because otherwise, I think Mr. Modi's government would be right in calling you anti-national. On the comments made by Vijay Shah, the very esteemed MLA from Madhya Pradesh, and the Deputy Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Jagdish Devda, who said that the Indian army bows before Mr. Modi. This is what the BJP thinks of India's defense services, by the way. We all know what Mr. Vijay Shah said about Colonel Sofia Qureshi, and I quote this paragraph. The derogatory statements can adversely affect the morale of the servicing personnel of our defense forces, resulting in weakening of national security and basically our territorial integrity. They will create communal fissures and they insult India's defense services. This is the BJP for you, served without any ambiguity. This is not a political statement. This has come from India's esteemed Admiral Vishnu Bhagwat. My next question to you. You know what, Rahul? All protocol, all policies and procedures that the BJP is trying to spread today, they do not apply in extraordinary times. In the times of a military conflict, a threat of a nuclear war, a possible ground-to-ground invasion, all your protocols stand suspended. So let us not try and create a red herring and divert the debate. The questions for the country are a few. Donald Trump announces a ceasefire and has said it 8 times in the past 12 days. I read it to confirm it myself that it was not some political rhetoric, that India actually agreed to a ceasefire with Pakistan because of a trade deal. And to use the American transactional business term, Donald Trump brokered the deal. So we are, for the first time, we are having a third party intervening in a bilateral conflict that we have with Pakistan. Kashmir has been internationalized, we all know it. And you should read Nirupama Rao's article in the Indian Express. She says India has lost, and she's, by the way, a former ambassador, a foreign secretary. She's not partisan. She says India has lost the information war.
Okay.
And she's not blaming the Congress with Pakistan. My second and third question, India gets backing from Israel and Taliban. Russia is neutral. America is anyway opportunistic. Our neighborhood is, by the way, completely disinterested in what happens to us. This is the regional superpower we once were under the Congress government. Third, Kashmir is out in the international environment all over again. And the next time anybody from the BJP criticizes the Congress, my last line, Rahul, they should remember the Congress government, 1947, defeated Pakistan. 1965, defeated Pakistan. 1971, led to the creation of Bangladesh. Don't lecture Congress on patriotism
One second.
and national security.
You know, you said you must give the complete picture. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Bhatia in just about a minute. I just want a couple of points to be made. Sure. You said give the complete picture. Now, viewers, he talked about a BJP minister, condemnable. That man is being taken to task.
Not yet.
He has been asked not to even attend cabinet briefings, meetings. He's got criminal cases slapped against him. He'll be taken care of by the law. No one is shielding him or protecting him. But there was a man called Mehboobabad, viewers, Samajwadi Party leader, who's a professor. And you know what the Supreme Court said? And all of these parties backed him. And if you're talking about letting down the armed forces and making snide comments which are misogynistic against the lady officers, this man epitomized it because the Supreme Court said he was dog whistling. What was he dog whistling, viewers? He was telling Muslims not to support the war. He was trying to divide our army. This was Mehbooba, supported by the Congress, by the left, by the whole brigade of the India bloc. This was Mehbooba. This is what the Supreme Court said. And he said, the Supreme Court went on to say that do not shame this country for publicity hunting. These are the words of the Supreme Court. There it is, viewers. It's on your screens. And I must commend the director tonight to fish it out so quickly and help me here. That's fantastic. Very well done. I'll also tell you, viewers, one second. He's quoting some retired generals, etc., etc. Okay? The man who heads, viewers, the man who heads India's Standing Committee on External Affairs is a man called Shashi Tharoor. He's a Congress party member, and he said that Trump did not mediate. In an interview to another haywire journalist who was sitting around asking some warped questions, and he stared him right in the eye, fixed him, and said, get your facts right, son. Educate your mind before you come to ask questions. And that 57-year-old journalist looked like a, what can I say, viewers? He shrunk in his chair. Can you believe it? 57-year-old journalist. Anyhow, then there is somebody called MK Narayanan. I'm not talking about Nirupma, whoever he mentioned, Subramaniam, etc., ambassador. I'm talking about MK Narayanan, the NSA, National Security Advisor to the UPA government. And this is his view. Operation Sindoor has shown that India has tremendous strength, but it also can act in a restrained manner. That is an important message. We demonstrated that we are responsible and big power. And you have, of course, viewers, all those sound bites of the Pakistan establishment from the top, from the Prime Minister to his niece, to every senator there who says, it was not chutput, we got really shaken in our socks. These were their words, not mine. In fact, there's another guy who's another scion. And I'll play that MK Narayanan bite in a while, but we'll just stick to the quote right now. There's another guy, viewers. He's a son of a deceased prime minister, assassinated prime minister, who says that, can you imagine they came at midnight to attack us? You know, as if they interrupted some big party that was going on in Islamabad. Can you believe it, viewers? And this is what the Congress is blind to tonight. I leave the floor now to Mr. Bhatia on the 1991 document. I want Sushant Sareen as well as Smita Prakash who are here to put that into a larger context. But Mr. Bhatia, a quick response to Mr. Sanjay Jha, who's listed a series of questions that he wants you to answer. I think you're on mute, Mr. Bhatia. I think you need to
First of all,
wonderful. I can hear you now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Rahul, I don't know.
You're fine. I can hear you. Go ahead. We
can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, totally. So, Rahul, first of all, let's make it very clear that the entire nation today, a population of 1.4 billion people, stands with the Prime Minister, who's been very decisive, very firm and very clear with what India's response should be to the Pahalgam terror attack. 1.4 billion Indians are also standing with the Indian Army, barring, and most unfortunate, the leader of opposition of Bharat is becoming Nishane-Pakistan, and he is being quoted in the Parliament of Pakistan. That I think is unfortunate, because with leadership positions also comes great responsibility. You have to exercise restraint. You have to calibrate your statements before you ask the questions, because Operation Sindoor is still on. Now I heard Sanjay Jha, he was talking about a veteran, Admiral Bharwat. He should be respected for sure. But then I want to ask Sanjay Jha, why did Rahul Gandhi ask this question? And I quote, he said, how many aircraft did our Air Force lose as a result? This is on 17th May 2025, after Air Marshal Bharti, when asked the same question by the media, had responded that I will not respond to your question because we are in a combat scenario and it would jeopardize national security. So is Rahul Gandhi not jeopardizing national security? Is he not being irresponsible? Why is he wanting to be the poster boy of Pakistan? One. Two, Congress has a problem. The problem lies here. They are trying to equate Operation Sindoor and Narendra Modi ji with what happened in 1971 and Indira Gandhi ji. Now, as an Indian and as a BJP spokesperson, I want to ask the Congress, why play this narrative? As an Indian, I am proud of Narendra Modi ji and I am also proud of Indira Gandhi ji. Times were different, responses were different, but why divide the country? Why pit Narendra Modi ji against Indira Gandhi? As an Indian, I want to celebrate both victories, which the Congress was not being able to do, and I think that is very dangerous for the country. Third, why are they questioning the Indian Army? You can come in. I have not completed my point. I think you should.
You said your piece. Let him finish his piece. I gave you all the time in the world, sir. And then I want to bring in Sushant Sareen and Smita Prakash. Yeah. I'm going to go like that, and then we'll have seconds if we have time for that. So please.
I have two more points to make.
Just because you gave me first in sequence.
I have two more points to make, and then if I get time, I'll respond to what Mr. Sanjay Jha said.
Yeah.
So my third point is, all these irresponsible statements. What has the Congress done? I am, as a national spokesperson of the BJP, very clearly saying what Mr. Vijay Shah has said is condemnable. And I have faith in the Bharatiya Janata Party. Appropriate action will be taken against him apart from the criminal case that he is facing.
Well said.
Because the nation deserves to know what the stand of the Bharatiya Janata Party is. But what about Robert Vadra, who was giving a clean sheet to Pakistan saying Muslims in India are feeling insecure, therefore the terror attack? What about Congress Twitter handle posting a picture of Narendra Modi ji headless? What happened? It was deleted, but no apologies from Rahul Gandhi. What about Ajay Rao mocking the Rafale fighter plane?
Okay.
Which is the main fighter aircraft, gave a chol to Pakistan. What about Manjunath, the Karnataka MLA of the Congress, asking for proof?
Okay.
What about Kharge ji saying Operation Sindoor is a chutput war? So the question is only this. The Congress is not playing its role as an opposition, which it should be playing. Rather, it's busy fighting the Prime Minister out of hatred that they have for the Prime Minister, which is deplorable, unacceptable, unpardonable.
Viewers, is the Congress acting out of a sense of insecurity, political insecurity? That's a question that we can put to Smita Prakash. But very quickly, Sushant Sareen, look, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting for 17 minutes flat, but I think the context has been set. Now, the question was this pact avoidable, Sushant Sareen, under the circumstances? These confident building measures, did they sort of play up the Congress's inherent pacifism and perhaps even limit India? Can you give us a context, please?
Yeah, Rahul, I'll do that. But before that, I just want to make a couple of things very clear. If every mouth in India, in the political side, was to be taken seriously, and every nonsensical utterance which they do, which is on a regular basis, some of it Sanjay Jha has listed out, some of it Mr. Bhatia has, then I think the morale of the Indian Armed Forces would have been dead long back ago. I don't think the Indian Armed Forces take these characters seriously. Number one. Number two, it is all very well to quote Vishnu Bhagwat, Admiral, but also remember he's a disgraced Admiral. He was sacked from service for conduct unbecoming of Armed Forces Chief, and he was thrown out because he was indulging in politics, and he was sacked summarily. So please keep that in mind.
I'm glad you said it, because had I said it, there would have been hell to pay. So he said, no, I hope you respect that man. I don't, because of the facts that you've listed. So there you go. Thank you.
It's a fact which I'm stating. Yeah. And many of the others in this list are rather dubious characters, many of them. Not all of them, but many of them. But having said that, let me just now come back to the main question which you asked. Look at it this way. If you're just discussing about politics and hypocrisy, then yes, I think the agreement which was being dug out of 1991 and flung in the face of the opposition parties to make a political point, it's all very well. But if you look at the agreement in itself and you look at the context in which that agreement was worked out, then please remember, What was India facing in that period, 1991? That was the time when you already had massive terrorism in Punjab. It had still not been controlled. And you had Kashmir erupt. There was almost a warlike situation as far as Kashmir is concerned. The Pakistanis were threatening us. That was also the time when this so-called Robert Gates mission came, where the Americans were scaring us that the Pakistanis might be wanting to use a nuke and there were forces moving. All of that was happening.
Yeah.
India was extremely vulnerable because the Indian economy was virtually bankrupt. Please remember that was the time we had to send our gold to lockers
right.
and to vaults in UK to survive. And we were going into an IMF program. We were extremely vulnerable. It was under those circumstances that there were people who forced India into this kind of an agreement as a confidence building measure. So I would not attribute any kind of betrayal or any kind of soft-headedness behind this particular agreement. In retrospect, we can say, because today we are speaking from a position of strength. In retrospect, we can say this was ill-advised, it should not have been done. But
I just want to say, Sushant Sareen has not minced his words, he's not been unfair, he's been very balanced. Please note this, because someone started this program by saying that we have 3 spokespeople for one particular side. Now let's hope that people hear Sushant Sareen and accept that he has been extremely balanced. Now I want to come to you, Smita Prakash. I have to ask you this question because look, the discourse from the Congress from pretty much day one after the halt, the cessation, the pause, call it what you want to, the understanding has been that we have surrendered. You know, there was a term that was used once, Surrender Modi, if you remember, surrender Modi. There was a coinage that was brought up at one particular point, if you remember. And that was also from the higher echelons of the Congress PR machinery. So I just have to say, why does the Congress always want to equate? First of all, they say that it was Indira Gandhi's victory. No, it was actually the troops' victory. It was Sam Manekshaw and his men and women who delivered that victory. It should go to the military. It was not Indira Gandhi's victory. If that was Indira Gandhi's victory, then this is Modi's victory. But they won't say that. They say, no, it's the forces that did us proud, but Modi sold them down the toilet. Can you assess this for me? This reaction, this sort of negativity, where is it coming from?
Well, I think it's a tumult which happens in any democracy. But before I come to the point that you've been talking, since Sushant has talked about Admiral Bhagwat, I would like to talk about the Nirupama Rao reference. She's not on the show, but I need to say this, that her article was quoted. In her article, what she has said is that India had facts and legitimacy on its side and Pakistan had coherence and speed. Now you tell me, just because you have coherence and speed and you are somebody who pushes terrorism as a state policy, is that coherence and speed to be admired? Or we as a democracy who might be a little late in coming to the game of narrative building, whose side are you going to be on? And especially if you're on the side of democracy, whose side are you going to be on? And Nirupama, when she says that, remember that she was Joint Secretary External Publicity during the Agra visit of Musharraf. And she had just begun her tenure. And at that time, Musharraf got the lead in the narrative building at that time.
Good point.
XP, External Publicity, was playing catch up even at that. Yes, India was playing catch up even then. So remember, Pakistan is past master at this, that hum pehle apna message denge. India takes time. We are a little bit of a slumbering elephant when it comes to narrative building. But when we get our act together, we do get it. So already, we have been sending people, ministerial delegations have gone, our embassies and high commissions are at work. A charm offensive is on the go. Whether you appreciate it or not, we were late, but we are doing it. To show the world that what Operation Sindoor was a calibrated and a restrained military response, and we pulled back from escalating it, and though we destroyed the terrorist infrastructure, we minimized civilian casualties. This is a very responsible country which behaves like this. This is what it is. Now, as far as the political barbs are concerned, which you were talking about, now those domestic political barbs, they are part of a noisy democracy that we are. But attacking Jaishankar, I just don't understand why the Congress leadership where it doesn't find resonance among the people. Maybe on a TV debate, the spokespersons might come and vent, and maybe a couple of smart alecky tweets might come in. But making personal attacks on this man, calling him Jai Chand, who's quite a star among the working class. I don't think people realize this, that, the political opposition of just the Congress party, nobody else, only the Congress party is making these kind of cheap remarks about Jaishankar. Firstly, to think he's a star among people of the working class who send their children to schools and colleges, want them to take the UPSC exam, go to JNU, go to St. Stephen's, go get a good degree, join the civil service, become a minister if possible because of your caliber.
I worked with his father on the Times of India edit page, Smita Prakash, one of the most humble, down-to-earth people I have met. Mr. K. Subramaniam, the father of India's nuclear doctrine.
Yeah.
He, in fact,
he
shepherded me and guided me. So I have great respect for that man. And I know the most modest means came from nowhere. And his children are also very rooted. Yes.
And, to think that any Indian external affairs minister will tip off Pakistan. I mean, I'm not even talking, if you think that I'm pro Jaishankar, any Indian external affairs minister of any political party in this country would tip off an enemy nation. And I use this term with respect, with a lot of responsibility, not respect, responsibility. I'm not saying adversary, but an enemy nation, even if it's a 72-hour conflict that we were. In those 72 hours, it was an enemy nation. It was a Dushman Mulk. To think that any foreign minister of this country would tip off Pakistan, that we are sending in our aircraft to put our men and women in uniform at risk, that to have those people be gunned down, our civilians be targets. It's absurd to think that anybody in this country would do that. Forget about wearing a uniform, being part of the government. Even a civilian wouldn't do that unless he's paid as a traitor.
Absolutely. And these things, viewers are very easily found out. So no one is going to do that. In fact, the Pakistanis have denied it. And you heard the ISPR DG in his mufti sitting there in that interview in the BBC. Viewers, I leave it at this. I've run out of time. We've all had one go at it. You've heard your views. You've heard everyone's views. You take away what you want from this. I just want to say that the total estimated financial impact of Operation Sindoor on Pakistan in the limited 4 days is $7.6 billion. This is according to a report that has been put out and prepared by Wing Commander Satyam Kushwaha, who's a retired Wing Commander, very, very highly decorated officer. And he's put this out. Those are some of the numbers. You can even go on to my Twitter handle and have a look at the full report and read it. It's a very comprehensive, independently sourced assessment of the strategic and operational losses. And credible sources were tapped, and these are people who are have first-hand account of the extensive research or electronic data collected during the short conflict. So this is not something top of the head. It is an academic study, and it has some value. I think the Congress should actually be focusing on that, to say that, wow, these are the numbers, instead of asking us how many aircrafts we lost. They should be talking about their losses, Pakistan's losses. I'll leave it at this. Why President Trump, who is a self-professed great friend of India, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is suddenly sitting on the Indo-Pak fence. In his first term, Trump was an out-and-out supporter of India. Trump's India First doctrine deepened mutual trust between Delhi and DC, so much so that he saw India as a potential bulwark against China. And that's why, viewers, it is baffling to many of us why Trump hasn't still called out Pakistan for its villainy. After all, Trump remains a vocal critic of Islamist terrorism. That's one of the reasons why he wholeheartedly backs Israel. So what's holding him back with respect to India that has also been bled by Islamists in Pahalgam? Why does Trump deliberately take credit for instituting a so-called ceasefire, and worse, hyphenating India and Pakistan, knowing fully well that this upsets India? In fact, he did it again just a day ago. Sample this, viewers. Listen in.
if you take a look at what we just did with Pakistan and India, we settled that whole thing, and I think I settled it through trade. We're doing a big deal with India, we're doing a big deal with Pakistan, and I said, what are you guys doing? You know, somebody had to be the last one to shoot, but the shooting was getting worse and worse, bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper into the countries, and we spoke to them, and I think you know, I hate to say we got it settled, and then 2 days later, something happens, and they say it's Trump's fault. But Pakistan has got some excellent people and some really good, great leader. And India is my friend, Modi.
Modi?
And he's a
mutual friend.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Well, this question about Trump's deliberate undermining of India's position, even though Delhi has objected to it, has also been nagging me. And it has led me to dig a little deeper. What I've found shocked me and provides a plausible explanation for Trump's less than honorable bid to equate India with Pakistan. This is the story of a crypto, excuse the pun, deal between Trump and Pakistan. Pakistan on April 26 signed a deal with World Liberty Financial. Now pay attention, viewers. It's a company in which Trump's family owns 60% shares. In fact, these 60% shares are held by Trump's sons Eric and Donald Trump Jr. and son-in-law Jared Kushner. The WLF homepage prominently displays Trump's photo and the phrase, quote, inspired by Donald J. Trump, unquote. The World Liberty Financial, WLF, is a decentralized finance project and a cryptocurrency company founded in 2024. The deal came close on the heels of the Pakistani government signaling that it might make dealing in cryptocurrency legal. The signing ceremony between PCC and WLF, wait for it viewers, was held in Islamabad. The ceremony was attended by Pakistan's Minister for Information Ataul Tarar, PCC CEO Bilal bin Said, WLF co-chairman Zachary Witkoff. Witkoff, as it so happens, is the son of Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff. The WLF delegation also met with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Army Chief General Asim Munir. And all of this happened, viewers, within days of the Pahalgam attack. There are questions to be asked. Does this potential conflict of interest render Trump a less than reliable partner for India, especially when it comes to limiting Pakistan's thuggery? This question is pertinent because after Balakot and after abrogation of Article 370, Trump helped block a China-Pak move to pass a resolution in the UNSC against India. With Trump now sitting on the fence, is it safe to conclude that Pakistan is effectively bought cover or insurance against India? Let me be more direct. Is Trump's offer to now suddenly mediate on the Kashmir issue related to his family-backed World Liberty Financial's crypto deal in Pakistan? After all, isn't war bad for business? With Donald Trump behaving more like a businessman than an American president, can India still ride on the belief that India and America are natural allies? Does India have any leverage on America to try and modify Trump's outlook? Are there structural and systemic convergences between India and the US too deep for Trump to rip up? In what way can India Trump-proof its relationship with America? These are the questions, viewers, and we're going to put them to General Dhillon, Tara Karta, Tilak Deveshwar, and Brahma Cheleni. Let me first begin with you, Professor Cheleni. This is a question on everyone's mind. Could this deal, now I'm not imputing any motives here, but could this deal present a conflict of interest, a plausible one at the very least, which is perhaps making Trump take this sort of very middle of the road line where he's equating both India and Pakistan, very uncharacteristic of the Trump that we had in office in 2019 or between 2016 and 2020? Could it be, or am I just reading too many things?
No, you're actually pointing to the underlying cause for the sudden change in Trump's attitude. The gala dinner Trump hosted last evening at his Virginia golf club for the highest paying customers of his personal cryptocurrency underscored how he is promoting sales of his digital currency while serving as president. Even the Trump-friendly media outlets in the US are now beginning to warn that Trump's promotion of his crypto business from the White House has the makings of a major scandal that could mar the rest of his presidency. It is not known how much Pakistan invested in buying cryptocurrency from Donald Trump's family linked firm World Liberty Financial. But even if Pakistan invested 1 billion, it has already got back more than its money's worth. After all, Trump effectively bailed out Pakistan from the recent military crisis with India. No less significantly, Trump is helping advance Pakistan's long-standing agenda. Trump has been pairing the victim with the perpetrator of cross-border terror, and he's been shining an international spotlight on the Kashmir issue. Trump has not said a single word on the issue that triggered the recent crisis, cross-border terrorism. But he has been seeking to portray Kashmir as the core issue. And as we all know, Pakistan has long weaponized the Kashmir issue to justify its cross-border terrorism. But there is a larger thing that we shouldn't forget. During this recent military crisis, both China and the US, like during the Cold War, came to Pakistan's aid. This was a reminder that India is waging a lonely fight against Pakistani cross-border terrorism.
It's a very interesting view. So you believe that this potential deal, or this deal, creates a potential conflict of interest. General Dhillon, let me bring you in on this because it's an important point. With Donald Trump now behaving more like a businessman, I won't say that he's behaving less like an American president, though some people would say that. Can India still ride on the belief that India and America are natural allies, at least as of now? General Dhillon.
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to your fellow panelists and your viewers. See, in this world, there are no permanent friends or allies or enemies. There are permanent interests, a very famous saying. So we should never be under the belief that someone is our permanent ally or a natural ally for the times to come. We need to build our own strength. We need to build our own position in this world community. Now, having said this, we can sit in India and say anything about Pakistan. And Pakistan is a terrorist state, Pakistan is this, Pakistan is that, and why the world is not taking cognizance of Pakistan. Now, if you look at geostrategic location of Pakistan and India vis-a-vis China, India is an emerging global power. Like it or not, no one is very happy about it in the world. No one wants a country like India to emerge at the global economic scene. We are only fourth largest GDP-wise, and we are going to be third. Now look at Pakistan on the world map. There's an Arabian Sea to the south with the warm waters of Indian Ocean. There is a West Asia on to the southwest with the Strait of Hormuz and the complete Gulf oil and the complete Arab world. Now there is Iran on to the northwest and the west, which is not a very friendly country with the United States. There is Afghanistan on to the north, which still is a business unfinished from the terrorism point of view. And then there is very interesting Central Asian region. All the countries of erstwhile Soviet Union immediately above Afghanistan and there. Now Pakistan and India with its you can say, proclaimed not aligning with anyone or not giving basis to anyone, and such a big power. Pakistan is the only place in this part of the world which the West and especially United States can use for any future clash of interest with the West Asia, with the Islamic world, with Iran, with Afghanistan, with Central Asian Republic, and of course with China also to an extent. And taking it a little further, even with India. Now Pakistan is being used for a future base with the access from the Arabian Sea to counter all the countries in this region. So no right-thinking strategic person can overlook this geostrategic truth. And Pakistan, since it's ruled by the military and the military men in Pakistan know it very well, they understand the geostrategy very well, unlike the Pakistani politicians. So they're leveraging this position at every time in the history, and they will continue to do so. The only answer to this is we need to build our own strengths, we need to build our own capabilities.
No, but General
and where
Dhillon,
we
on
should
that
not-
point, on that last point that you're making, yes, we have to build our own strength and capacities, but look at this. You have so many deals. You have intelligence sharing, you have surveillance deals. I mean, they have all sorts of acronyms, and you know those acronyms better than I do. We have weapon systems that we have from America. We have a strategic partnership. It's one of our biggest trading partners. How do you decouple like this? I mean, yes, obviously we have to be Atmanirbhar, but that will take time. In the interim, what happens? We get kicked around like this?
No, we don't get kicked down. We are too big a country to be, sort of dealt with like this. We need to understand we are the biggest democracy, and in America there is a very big lobby which respects democratic values and democracies.
Okay.
We need to leverage our democracy. We need to leverage. We are 1/6 of the world.
Okay.
In population. We are the 1/6 of the world's market. Anyone who makes any product, he has to come to India to sell it. We need to leverage that. And most importantly, we need to leverage India vis-a-vis China in this region.
Okay, so now let me just
all
flip
these are
this.
strategic issues.
Okay, no, I get what you're saying. I think these are important points that both Professor Chileni and General Dhillon are making. But Tilak Deveshwar, you can look at it the other way. Now, Pakistan, if it is, and I'm going to use this very crudely, if it is bought cover from Trump against India, or if it is bought Trump for cover against India, let me be even more direct. I have to ask you, how is Pakistan now going to use its relationship with the United States? Because this is where the problem begins. Already we are seeing that they've been hyphenated. Now, there'll be a lot of, and that's why I haven't brought any politicians, because the moment you bring in politicians, it becomes a hit pit between BJP, Congress, this, that, the other. So I'm asking you, yes, now from all probable, plausible and optical sense of the term, we are hyphenated. Pakistan has managed that because they have Trump, sorry to say, in their pocket. What more can they do?
See, thank you, Rahul, for having me on your show. Pakistan has been ready for business since 1947. Even before Pakistan's creation, Jinnah had told Mountbatten's aide, Pakistan cannot stand alone. First, it was the British. The Americans took over from the British. Then it became China. And now it's China and Pakistan or Pakistan. So whatever Pakistan feels that the US, in this case President Trump, needs, they are willing to do it. If it's a cryptocurrency deal, we'll do that. If it's minerals, we would do that. If you want bases, we are ready for that. But they just want the US on their side. They don't want even a neutral US. So long as the US is not pro-India. And all this while for the last over a decade, they have seen with growing concern the close relationship developing with India and the US. Now, I think as far as India is concerned, we need to play this smart. You know the kind of a president there is in the United States, but we must look at our multi-dimensional relationship with the United States. You talked about so many things, whether it is intelligence sharing, whether it is,
yeah, Cong, and all of that. You know what I'm talking about. All those deals, I mean, all those agreements.
So look at the US in a multi-domain, multi-dimensional manner, not get depressed, upset because of Trump's business interests. He is a very, very transactional man. The same Trump.
We can't hardly give him a $400 million jet. I mean, the Qataris are buying him pretty clearly.
True, but neither is Pakistan. I mean, what I'm getting at is, because he's so transactional, tomorrow he's going to get upset with Pakistan for some reason or the other. He's temperamental and transactional. And if Pakistan thinks that they've got him in his pocket, they have a serious thing. I mean, they really need to look at this, because it's not going to last long.
No, I understand,
but
Pakistan, look at the fleeting state. Any dollar that comes from America is a dollar more for them. They barely have anything. India is so invested. America is so invested. I mean, you have Apple, for example, and Trump today, just about 10, 15 minutes back, has come out and said that, look, I'm going to slap a 25% duty on any Apple iPhone that is not made on American shores, that's going to bleed India. I mean, our exports will get hit. We have just been able to leverage this in a fantastic way. And if they're telling the world, come and build, look, Apple has come and built phones here, you guys follow. Now, if you're going to have a situation where he's going to play hooky with us, then that's a problem.
Okay, but at the same time, what do you think Pakistan has to offer?
It has bases. It will have access to all sorts, I mean, look, General Dhillon himself is saying a pathway to Central Asia. Everyone wants Central Asia. There's gas there. There are all sorts of reserves there. Pakistan has lots of minerals. So,
yes, but at the same time,
I mean, Trump is on a mineral shopping spree. He wants to go to Greenland and pick up minerals. He wants to go to Ukraine and get minerals. So, I mean, Pakistan is an open mine.
That's what I said. It's open for business. But my point is, it cannot sustain it. President Trump cannot afford to ignore India. He may do it, tariff on Apple or whatever. India is too big a market. It has too strong a constituency in the US,
okay, so let me,
in the Congress,
okay.
in Pentagon,
to
be able to be ignored.
India is too big to fail in this relationship game between America and India. Okay, let's test that. Let me bring in Tara Karta. Tara Karta, let me just ask you this. It's a very straightforward question. There are many people, and I always sort of, I always take this with a pinch of salt, but there are many people who say that the structural and systemic convergences between India and the US are too deep for Trump in 4 years to rip them up. Do you share this optimism?
Absolutely.
You share it?
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
One is, just to interject, in his last term, President Trump offered mediation thrice. Only thing, it was all quietly swept under the table because there was no crisis. So this is not new. He's done this before. He wants to mediate everywhere. Right. Number two, while the Operation Sindoor was going on, there were two events. One was a quad tabletop exercise in Hawaii. And number two was a delegation here to discuss aircraft carrier cooperation. That is still going on. There's a bunch of things going on quietly under the table. So, and number three, the biggest point of all, they had a meeting on critical minerals with the 5 Central Asian states also, around the same time that he came to Pakistan. All this is aimed at moving supplies away from China. For me, I think that's a good thing. So, Pakistan, I absolutely back what Mr. Devash is saying. If these guys can get the Baloch to stop, well, hats off to them. This 90, we're talking about 90 mineral types in Balochistan. And by the way, 2 bills were passed recently in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan, saying the state, the federal government will have control on their resources. You think they're going to keep quiet? So there is a lot of trouble ahead. It is the tribal areas are saying, hey, how about consulting us? So this is no cakewalk. Or Trump could be persuaded, perhaps, I don't know, to support the Baloch cause and say, hey, the Baloch says, hey, take my minerals and come in and give us independence. And you can take all the minerals you want.
I mean, that would be the greatest thing. That would be the greatest outcome. Because many people have said, support Balochistan, split them off, hive them off from Pakistan, it becomes an independent country. Go there, shop, have a good time. You'll get a port also, access to Gwadar. Yes. What else do you need?
So it can go either way, right? So what I'm trying to say is, Trump is being Trump from his first term also. There's nothing very great here. His family benefits, and we saw that even with other presidents. You know what I'm talking about. But you have to admit, Pakistan Army Field Marshal Munir is playing this very well. Okay. You have to admit that. Hats off to him. I mean, this whole Minerals Act, this whole, this exercise of getting the family to invest into Pakistan, that's playing smart. And they're saying, thank you to the US every 5 minutes, unlike us. So, they're playing it well. But in the end, if you're being transactional, we are much bigger.
We are much bigger, but are we going to be transactional? Professor Chileni, how do we blunt this? I mean, in what way can India exercise leverage now on Trump if he's shopping and having a great time with Pakistan? How do we distract him? How do we wean him away, this Pakistan addiction?
First, I think we shouldn't overemphasize the Trump factor. Had Biden been in office today, do you think US policy in the India-Pakistan military crisis would have been any different? Who upgraded and modernized Pakistan's F-16 fleet to make it more lethal against India?
That's true.
Biden. Who initiated the bailout packages for Pakistan from the IMF? Biden. Who helped Pakistan get off the FATF grey list? Biden administration. And it was the Biden administration that was playing the Khalistan card, that was trying to hyphenate India with Pakistan. So what we are seeing is a continuation of the American deep state. Its old tendency to use Pakistan against India. The difference is that Pakistan figured out very smartly as to how it can curry favor with the Trump White House, how it can get in Trump's good graces. It knew the path was by investing in Trump's personal cryptocurrency. Now, look at this. A 5-member delegation from the World Liberty Financial comes to Islamabad. The Prime Minister receives this delegation, the Army Chief receives his delegation, and the Prime Minister and the Army Chief jointly hold a gala dinner for this delegation, and the Pakistani government publicity wing releases pictures.
Yeah, those pictures are on air right now. Yeah.
Sorry?
Those pictures are on air right now. We're just putting them out, those pictures.
And in India, we didn't even, we missed the story. We didn't pay attention to the development which had quite significance for us in the middle of a crisis.
Okay.
The fact is that there may be an India-friendly administration in Washington today that values India as a counterweight against China. But the old establishment in Washington, including the State Department bureaucracy,
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
To my colleague Siddhant, who is more on this. Siddhant, so once again, the External Affairs Minister, what he said to the Dutch press, now what he's saying to the German press, is that twofold. Number one, that it was bilaterally arrived at between India and Pakistan. It had nothing to do with any third party. And more importantly, India is now drawing a new red line for terror, Pakistan-sponsored, Pakistan-inflicted terror, and that is that there will be cost and pain for the enemy to pay.
Well, absolutely, Zaka. And in fact, the more interesting development here is that there is an open endorsement which is coming from German Foreign Minister to India's right to defend its territory. In fact, just a short while back, this press briefing happened, and in fact, both foreign ministers addressed press in Germany, and there are three points which German Foreign Minister made, Zaka. One, that that Germany condemned the terrorist attack on India. Number two, Germany supported India's right to defend itself against terrorism. And number three, advocated bilateral solution between India and Pakistan. Perhaps a big endorsement coming from Germany, Zaka, and especially at a time when, as you rightly pointed out, that there is a narrative which is being built that how world completely isolated India after Pahalgam attack, and perhaps there are countries like China, like Turkey, backing Pakistan openly, but when it comes to supporting India in its right to defend itself against terrorism, perhaps none of these countries came forward and issued a strong statement. But that is not the case, Zaka. In fact, German Foreign Minister gave a big endorsement to India's right to defend itself against terrorism. In fact, he also went on to say that on 7th of May, I beg your pardon, EMS Jaishankar said that on 7th of May, both foreign ministers spoke to each other, and at that point in time also, Germany condemned the terror attacks, and Germany extended support to India in its right to defend itself against terrorism. Having said that, Zaka, Germans were also in touch with French foreign ministry. In fact, German foreign minister said that on the very first day after Pahalgam attack, he spoke to French foreign minister, perhaps to get the first-hand report. So to say this, that West has completely isolated India, none of the countries from the Western world, is coming forward to support India would be wrong. Perhaps a very big endorsement is coming, and this is for the first time on record. This endorsement is coming, that how Germany stood with India before Operation Sindoor, and perhaps again they have reiterated their position that they support India's right to defend itself against terrorism.
All right, Siddhant, we'll leave it at that. So the Indian foreign minister, he's on a 3-nation trip to the Netherlands, to Copenhagen, and of course to Germany. His latter half will conclude that trip to Germany, and where he has spoken to media and he has reiterated the message that India and Pakistan bilaterally arrived at the ceasefire. It has nothing to do with any third-party mediation.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
To my colleague Siddhant, who has more on this. Siddhant, so once again, the External Affairs Minister, what he said to the Dutch press, now what he's saying to the German press, is that twofold. Number one, that it was bilaterally arrived at between India and Pakistan. It had nothing to do with any third party. And more importantly, India is now drawing a new red line for terror, Pakistan-sponsored, Pakistan-inflicted terror, and that is that there will be cost and pain for the enemy to pay.
Well, absolutely, Zaka. And in fact, the more interesting development here is that there is an open endorsement which is coming from German Foreign Minister to India's right to defend its territory. In fact, just a short while back, this press briefing happened, and in fact, both foreign ministers addressed press in Germany, and there are 3 points which German foreign minister made, Zaka. One, that Germany condemned the terrorist attack on India. Number 2, Germany supported India's right to defend itself against terrorism. And number 3, advocated bilateral solution between India and Pakistan. Perhaps a big endorsement coming from Germany, Zaka, and especially at a time when, as you rightly pointed out, that there is a narrative which is being built that how world completely isolated India after Pahalgam attack, and perhaps there are countries like China, like Turkey, backing Pakistan openly, but when it comes to supporting India in its right to defend itself against terrorism, perhaps none of these countries came forward and issued a strong statement. But that is not the case, Zaka. In fact, German foreign minister gave a big endorsement to India's right to defend itself against terrorism. In fact, he also went on to say that on 7th of May, I beg your pardon, EMS Jaishankar said that on 7th of May, both foreign ministers spoke to each other, and at that point in time also, Germany condemned the terror attacks, and Germany extended support to India in its right to defend itself against terrorism. Having said that, Zaka, Germans were also in touch with French foreign ministers.
Hello and welcome. This is Vantage and I'm Alison Lagrange. Let's get started. Bangladesh is back in the spotlight, and once again, for all the wrong reasons. Muhammad Yunus is reportedly weighing his future. He may step down as head of the interim government. The pressure is mounting. Demands for elections are growing louder. So what does this mean for Bangladesh's future and its ties with India? We'll explore. In Pakistan, Imran Khan was launched a new attack from behind bars. He's taking aim at newly promoted Field Marshal Asim Munir. This comes amid growing criticism of Pakistan. They denied an Indian airline's emergency request to use its airspace. What India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar told Europe about Pakistan, how Israel's rift with its Western allies is widening, and how animals are fleeing gang wars in Mexico. All this and more coming up. But first, the headlines. US President Donald Trump threatens Apple with a 25% tariff if the iPhones the company sells in the country are not manufactured locally. Trump says he has warned Apple CEO Tim Cook that the iPhones must be made in the US and not in India or any place else. Last week, Trump had asked Cook to stop building plants in India. Turkey arrests 65 soldiers and police officers over alleged ties to the Fethullah Gulen. The late preacher was accused of masterminding the failed 2016 coup against President Erdogan. Gulen, who died in October of last year, was once a close ally of the president. But later, the two became bitter enemies. In 1999, Gulen fled to the US and never returned. Iranian and American officials meet in Rome for a fifth round of nuclear talks. This comes after a public disagreement over Tehran's uranium enrichment. The talks between the two sides first began in April. It's the highest level of contact between Tehran and Washington since Donald Trump withdrew the US from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018. South Korea says there have been no talks with Washington about the US pulling troops from the country. The clarification comes amid reports that Washington was mulling a partial withdrawal. The US stations around 28,000 troops in South Korea. It is to help protect Seoul against nuclear-armed North Korea. India's National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, is likely to visit Moscow next week. Reports say that he is expected to attend a global security meet during his visit. Doval is also likely to push for the early delivery of the remaining 2 S-400 air defense systems.
সবাইকে বসে যাওয়ার কল করে রেখেই প্রতিজ্ঞা করছি।
Bangladesh is back in chaos. Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus, the man who was once seen as a stabilizing force, he's now considering leaving his post. Muhammad Yunus is mulling his resignation. This revelation comes from Nahid Islam. Islam is a student leader. He was a face of the anti-government protests in 2024. These protests had led to Sheikh Hasina's ouster. Nahid Islam gave an interview yesterday, and this was after he met Muhammad Yunus himself. Islam claims Yunus voiced serious doubts about his future. He raised 3 complaints: growing pressure, a political deadlock, and a lack of unity from the parties that brought him to power. The story has taken a life of its own. Earlier today, a post went viral. It was from an advisor to Yunus. He said Yunus is not going to step down. This claim was made on social media. But the choice of words from Yunus hints at frustration. He may not have a lot of time to get through his reforms agenda. Support for Yunus could be slipping. One of the biggest signals came this week. The army chief of Bangladesh spoke out. That's General Waqar-uz-Zaman. Now he believes Bangladesh needs elections soon. General Zaman was speaking to his officers. Multiple outlets within Bangladeshi press carried the story. I have some quotes. Listen to this. Bangladesh needs political stability. This is only possible through an elected government, not by unelected decision makers. Now, those words were not just a critique, they were a deadline. The military wants elections before the end of the year. But Yunus hasn't committed. He's talked about a window between December of 2025 and June of 2026. But political parties are running out of patience.